Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Welcome back to Houselights, our director discussion show here on the Nerd Party Network. This week, we're continuing in the wing of Batman, dipping back into the animated films with 2017's The Lego Batman Movie. Will we nail this review on the first try, or break out the Bat-themed rock songs? I'm your host, Darren Bat Swag Gun Moser, and I'm joined by Wayne Island Master Builder, John Mills. Just when you thought it was safe to reference 1966 Batman, we're back with the Lego Batman Movie. I am really glad we're not skipping this one in the wing of Batman, because it is such a different vibe than anything we've covered.
It is. But see, that's what's so great. Tipping my hand. I did not hate this movie. So, hey, that's your tease for later, everybody. But like, this is such a joyous exploration of everything that a Batman fan has witnessed and accepted and rolled with through the years. And it's such a wonderful, wonderful thing to have a movie like this come along and remind you not to take it too seriously.
Yes.
To be like, it's okay, guys. You can just have some fun with it. And it's like, but it's also telling, I think, where it doesn't focus its humor, because there are certain sacred cows it will not go after. And I think that's really super interesting about, where they target their jokes and where they don't.
Yeah. So this movie was greenlit after the success of the Lego Movie. And I'm just picturing that pitch setting of like, oh, Lego Movie did really well. Like, let's keep this going. What do we want to do for our next installment? What about Batman? He was really popular in his 3 scenes. Well, not 3 scenes. He was in more than that. But, he's a secondary character. He's not a main. Well, I guess I'll overspeak on his main plotness of the Lego Movie, but he was a standout character. I think everyone recognized that. Will Arnett's portrayal, and it just was this gruff, like, Lego Batman takes himself really seriously, but that's what makes it funny, because he's Lego Batman.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. And I think that Arnett is able to do his voice naturally lends itself to what he does with the gravelly stuff here.
Yeah.
And I think that what's great about it is, like you said, he's taking it quote unquote seriously, but he's not taking it seriously like a guy who shows up at a comedy thing and refuses to laugh. He's going along with he's giving the joke what it needs to power it. And there's a very important distinction there. And especially when you're talking about voice acting. Voice acting really gets overlooked a lot of times. And I'll offer, let's say there's a universe where Arnett does not play Batman here. What actor comes to your mind? Who else could do this specifically with the character?
It's really hard because, again, you talk about animated Batman and you instantly think of Kevin Conroy. Like, you can't not, but I can't picture that voice coming out of Lego Batman. Like, I've heard this movie described as being inspired by like Naked Gun and Airplane, which it totally is. Like in its freneticness and because it's animated, this movie plot does not work as a non-animated movie, because
of course
there's just so much on the screen that makes the joke work because it's so crazy. But yeah, I don't know. Another animated voice for this, I'd have to give that some thought, honestly, unless something comes to your mind.
No, I was asking specifically because I consider it a great achievement for an actor or actress to contribute voice work, and I can't think of somebody else who could contribute something similar. That's not to throw shade at anybody that I could, quote unquote, replace or whatever. But like, when I come in here and I hear Arnett, I can only hear Arnett. I can only hear him in this specific type of Batman role. And I can but where I'll really tip my hat, in all honesty, was I didn't realize it was Michael Cera until I saw the credits at the end. Like, he did an amazing job. Like, I could not recognize him in the voice. And then once I saw the credits, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I can hear it. But like, that's also a great thing. And Robin is such a fun character in this, where they're making fun of the concept of Robin while not making fun of the concept of Robin.
Yeah, I've heard Robin in Lego Batman described as if you took the 66 Adam West Robin and paired him up with a Zack Snyder Justice League Batman, like that's kind of the vibe you get, which is kind of true. I mean, for the first half, he's literally just doing what Batman tells him to do move by move, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But he's just got that wide-eyed, his eyes are wide, hope of this orphan that wants to get adopted. It's so funny.
It is. And I think that some of the story stuff that they do is pretty darn clever with the way they introduce Barbara Gordon and the way but the one thing I've always struggled with this movie is how accessible is it to a non-Batman fan? Like, I know for me, all of these jokes land because for this rewatch, I watched it with my youngest, and she's vague. She's familiar with Batman. She's not like a huge Batman fan. She's seen, some of the stuff. I haven't even shown her the Christopher Nolan stuff yet because, frankly, I think a 10-year-old would be a little bit bored with them. I know, sacrilege, everybody, but like they're a little heady for a kid, and I think that watching this with her, there were enough points where I had to say, no, that's actually really from the comics, honey. Like Condiment King. I'm like, no, that's actually a character.
Like, that's actually, doesn't Batman say, like, Google it? Like, these are actual villains, and they are, which is what's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like leafing through old comic books on the Marvel side of the fence. And Craig Sorrell, friend of mine, loves to mention all the time, I think he's like matter eating lad or something like that. And like, that's his thing, is he eats matter. And it's like, well, everything's matter. It's like, yeah, he can eat anything. And like, that's his superpower. And it's like, that's kind of lame, but okay.
Picturing the scene in Deadpool where he's holding tryouts for the X team, and they're really bad. Like, they're not, like, how is that barely a superpower?
Right. Right. I'm lucky. That's not a superpower.
Or Mystery Men. He's like, I shovel really well. It's like, okay, sure. I mean, that's a whole nother thing, but so I also watched this with my two kids, and thinking back on what they know about Batman, they have seen a few episodes of the animated series, but that's about it. So I hadn't really thought that, or it hadn't come together in my mind, that their Batman education hasn't even really started. Right. Which, there's many other things that they've enjoyed and seen, but I wasn't really worried about the references because I'm going to laugh at those jokes, but I think they're just enjoying the freneticness of the pace of the villains. And, I still remember, I don't know if you can name your favorite joke. I'm sure it's impossible amongst the sea, but for me, the one that really, really tickled me is when Alfred tells him he has to go to Commissioner Gordon's retirement. Yes. And he goes, I don't want to. And he's like, no. And he's like flipping himself over up the stairs. I don't know why, but first time I saw this movie, I was busting a gut on that. It was such a like the visual comedy of that motion and his poutingness, and I was just like, that is so funny.
Yes, and when it eventually resolves into no, like, I mean, I was laughing from the beginning, of course, because Arnett, his voice starting up is like, blackness. Every good movie starts in black.
From the first moment of this movie, it has you.
And it has the Warner Brothers logo, and it's like, Warner Bros., the house that Batman built. And it's like, it's so great, and it's so over the top. And he goes back and he watches the end of Jerry Maguire, and he's laughing at the tearjerker scene. Like, the movie had me immediately at that point. Like, I was just laughing uproariously at that point. And I think that, picking a favorite is pretty difficult. But I think that it's interesting because there are so many deep cut jokes. I think you hit on it earlier, though, where you're talking about your kids haven't really, quote unquote, started their Batman education.
Right.
But the pace is such that you're right to call out Naked Gun and Airplane as models for this movie, because those movies have the same thing of, I'm not going to spend time waiting for the joke. Like, did the joke land? Great, keep moving. Did the joke not land? Great,
a lot of
keep
visual
moving.
humor too. Even if you didn't get the reference, the visual, like I'd say a runner-up for favorite joke is when Alfred is saying, oh, he's going through one of those like introspective phases, like, and he just lists off every year a Batman movie came out. He's like, at like 1995 and 1992 and 1989 and 1966. And it's just, it's that was the love letter joke to Batman fans, like that specific joke.
Yeah, when he goes back to 66, he's like, and whatever this era was, like. I think that you got to give a lot of credit as well to Ralph Fiennes for playing the right type of Alfred. And the thing is, it's weird to say he's playing the right type of Alfred for a Lego Batman movie. That's really, really odd. But my question to you is, this is really frenetic. This is really funny, and it's sort of relentless in its pace. But does it have the type of, lack of a better word, depth that makes it a true class? Like, to make it really land, there has to be something. Does it have that message for you? Does it have that? Does it land the theme well with this about having to learn to trust other people and stuff like that? Or is that sort of like, does that feel like after school special tacked on sort of thing where it's like, okay, we got to have the message?
No, I think the message is pretty well interwoven, and I think it has to be because there is so much joke energy injected into this movie that if you had no message and Batman didn't have any sort, I don't even say message, it's more like an arc. Like, Batman needs an actual story arc to go from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. Without that, it's visual salad of just too much going on. So yeah, you have him on his high at the beginning. He's Batman. He's not kidnapping. He's defeating, all the villains and just kicking their butts. And you have this high, and then it comes crashing down with the joke of like, I'm home, and it echoes in an empty bat cave. Right. Yeah. And you're like, oh, and then the pace goes to a crawl. Like, he's heating up his lobster thermidor. He's checking he's picking inputs on his TV, and it's hilarious.
That's funny to me because that's the truly adult, relatable humor part where it's like, do, 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 do. Oh, not that one. Boop, boop, boop. Like, we've all been through that. Right. We all get it. So it crashes down, but then we get the actual plot, which is Batman doesn't need anybody. Batman, I'm fine on my own. We kind of get the second crush where Barbara Gordon's like, I want you to be a fully, team member of the police, which of course makes me think of 66 Batman when he was, but deputized policeman. Yeah.
But they also nail that where everything goes black and white, and he kind of goes into this, dream state of my world is changing and falling apart. So even with the depth you get in this movie, it comes across very clearly. And even with the Joker is also kind of arcing where he's like, because many people have said, Batman, or actually I'll ask you this question. Would you say Batman is Batman because of his villains? Kind of like this makes it out to be, where if there were no villains or they weren't part of the picture, would he literally just evaporate?
Yeah, I think that I think what this movie does a good job of pointing to is, yes, Batman needs his supervillains to be something more in order for him to be something more than just a guy who dresses up in a costume. Like, it lovingly addresses the fact that in order for a comic book to work or a comic book movie to work, the stakes have to be stupidly high. He can't just be going around beating up muggers or that sort of thing. Like, that's what, we understand real life Batman would have to do, would have to engage in that sort of thing. But, we don't want to see real life. We want to see a bigger than life hero. And I think something that I found really funny is I had forgotten that the ending of this movie is essentially the ending of James Gunn's Superman, where they have to put together the city that's being ripped in part by a fissure. It's like, oh yeah. And like, the fact that they stay dedicated to the joke that the way you're going to save this is through abs, and it's an interesting thing because I have to ask, have they had another Lego movie since this Batman one? Or has this franchise
Well,
stalled?
they had the Lego Movie 2, the second piece. So they had the sequel to the first one.
But that one
there
did
has
not do as
really
well.
been... it did okay. I think it lost a bit of the novelty of the first one. But this was the only... Like, this came out at just the right time when it was riding the high. Like, they took the funniest part that wasn't Emmett of the first movie and made its own movie. And I think that worked out great. But no, Lego's always had a bunch of variety movies and such, but not like this. This is like an actual theatrical release. So no, the only one I can think of, it would be the Lego Movie 2, the second piece.
So that is interesting though, because you would think this one, super popular, everybody enjoys it. There hasn't been a follow-up to this. Like, let me ask you this. Is this demonstrating that there's a limited appeal to the premise of a Lego movie? Like, I know there are Lego Star Wars movies. I know there are streaming ones that are released, to your point. But do you think that they've mined even just Lego Batman? Do you think that they have anywhere to go with a sequel for this?
Yeah, I feel like I see your premise, but I would say it's almost not even that deep where... I'm sure there's some executive who's like, okay, how do we keep working what worked with the original and all of that? But I think they were smart enough to just realize they put everything that there was on the table into this movie. Like, I cannot see where, unless some miraculous other story comes out to become the Lego Batman movie 2. Like, this was it. Like, this was everything I think anyone dreamed of a Lego Batman movie. So I don't see if there's anywhere to go beyond this. And yeah, keep him in the secondary character. Like, he does reappear in the second Lego movie, but he's not, the main character. So I think that works.
Yeah, I while I was watching this, because I've seen it a few times now. While I was watching this, what was in the back of my head was, I don't see a Lego Superman movie working. I don't see a Lego Wonder Woman movie working. Do you think that Batman is the only superhero that can make a Lego movie work? Like, if anybody else tries to be as tongue-in-cheek as this movie, like, I don't think it works. I don't think you can get away with having another character be this self-effacing and fun about his legendary status that it doesn't transfer over to a Superman or a Lego Green Lantern movie. Look, I know I'm about to commit DC Comics fan blasphemy here, but there's a reason why they only make Superman and Batman movies, really, and why they only made two. There's a limit to, like, a Lego Aquaman movie is not going to play. That's not going to pull anybody in. Yeah, and so it's like, do you think that this is it? Like, the reason we won't get a 2 is because, like you said, and I think you're right, they put everything on the table here. Everything ends exactly the way it's supposed to. Anything else would feel tacked on. Is it just that this is the one Lego superhero movie that works, and it's the only one that would?
I think so. I mean, I've heard it also described that where the events of the first Lego movie are meant to be a story inside the children's heads that they're imagining, that this is also meant to be, even though we don't see the kids at all, this is another story of children playing with their Lego and imagining and they just have all the sets and all the toys and all the cool things. And this is that crazy story they create. Yeah, I can't think of another, because even if you found another superhero, let's say Spider-Man, he's got a pretty big, cast of villains and things like that, and you tried to tell the Lego Spider-Man movie, it would still feel too much like this movie. Like, you would need to do a non-superhero movie, and I don't know what that would be. So yeah, I'd never thought of it that way before, but when you really think about it, this is really lightning in a bottle, that it works on so many levels. Like, it works because it's Batman, because Batman has dozens of movies that are already out, and you're playing off of all those performances ahead of time, which is what makes it funny.
Well, I think I think also Batman's the only superhero who's really known for his gadgets. Superman isn't known for his gadgets. Spider-Man isn't known for his gadgets. You have, I'm sure somebody's yelling at yes, they are. They're not. But I mean, like I could see maybe like a Lego Fantastic Four movie might work because Reed Richards invents stuff. And so you could have, because that's the thing that really works as a Lego premise is the need and the ability to be a quote unquote master builder. So you have to put the things together, and they even have that referencing where it's like, I'll take you through how to build the thing. And it's always, a gadget or a vehicle or something key that's the Deus Ex that he can construct on the fly. I don't see any other hero that lends themselves to that. But be that as it may, it works really well in this context, along with the songs that Batman sings. And, actually thinking about that, I love the opening song. When the Joker's like, don't let him put on the music, and he puts on the song and like he's singing his own theme song. And I especially love when he's going through and it's like saying all the great stuff. It's like Batman. And then it's like, who pays his taxes on time? Not Batman. Like,
yeah, the songs are funny. The music is great. Yeah, just to wrap up your previous point, I think the Lego Movie and the Lego Movie 2, that kind of continues with, you have these other master builders, you have this ensemble that works. Benny the space Lego and the pirate Lego, and those all work as an ensemble. I can't think of any of those characters that would really work and be able to hold up a single franchise movie, as it were, like Batman does. And it also works because it's Lego, because he has a bat cave that's the largest bat cave we've ever seen. And he has, conveyor belts of every single bat copter and bat plane and bat boat and bat sub and bat space shuttle. And that's what's also funny. So those jokes don't work unless, I don't know, maybe you're doing some sort of Family Guy spoof. Like, it has to be so meta and animated for it to even come across. Like, you can't do it in any other type of movie.
So here's my question though, is, when you look at this, when you see the way everything came together, and we're sitting here, we're refusing praise on it justly, right? We're calling out all of these things that work. What isn't working here? Because I have a couple of things where I'm like, this is what's holding it back from perfection here or there. What holds it back from perfection for you?
Oh, man. I mean, I would almost say, I was going to say the Joker as far as his percentage, but it's, the more I think about it, I feel like there's just enough Joker. Like, he shows up when he's needed, but he's kind of off in the background enough that I don't get overdone with that humor. But I guess I would just say, as much as we praise the freneticness, like, man, that opening number when he's swinging around the city and he's singing, like, it is a lot. Like, I think it's one of those things where you've either bought in by that point or you are checked out. And obviously, I think the majority of people who watch this bought in, but I could also see people being like, just so confetti in your eye of stuff going on that they're just like, what am I watching? What is this? I could see people who enjoy Batman 89 and they're like, yeah, you guys have strayed a lot from the serious Batman I like.
I think that one of the things I love about this movie, but I also recognize makes it harder to access, is actually the unleashing of all of these related Warner Brothers properties at the end, with Voldemort showing up, with the Kraken showing up, with these not related to Batman villains showing up. On the one hand, it's wonderfully unrestrained imagination, the way a kid would think of it, where it's like, oh yeah, well, we've all played these games where it doesn't matter that Spider-Man doesn't know the Mandalorian. I've got the Spider-Man action figure and he's just sitting over there. He's going to come into this because, you know what? In my world, I can have that crossover. Absolutely. But I think that by losing the real world component, it abstracts the fact that it's happening inside a kid's head too much. And so when all of those villains show up at the end, I'm along for the ride. I love it when Kraken fires the bolt and it destroys Sauron, and he just like goes back and he's like, oh, he just like sneaks away because he's like, oops. Like, that's a funny joke and it's a visual joke. But I could completely understand somebody going, well, wait, what does this have to do with Batman? Not in a deep sense where they're like stroking their beard and clucking their tongue and saying, what is to be done with this Lego Batman movie with its unrestrained character inclusions?
How dare you have fun, good sir.
But it's also something where it's like Voldemort and crack. Even I rewatching it, like we were both like, oh, Godzilla. I was like, oh, wait, no, that's not Godzilla. You know, like that sort of thing. And, you know, she hasn't even seen the Harry Potter movies. So, you know, like, I don't know.
A wizard who doesn't like people. Yeah, no, I think the fact that they encompass it within the Phantom Zone, which is a DC thing, like gives it a lot of, it eases it in. If it was all of a sudden these guys just show up out of nowhere, I think that's maybe a step too far. But they've almost kind of written themselves into a corner, because in the opening act of the movie, he captures all the villains. Like, there are no more Batman villains. They're all in Arkham, except for the Joker is the only one who got away. And so, yeah, and of course you get the whole like team up with the villains. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, it works, but it also works because there's just crazy stuff going on this entire movie.
But yeah, it's just that at that point, it's making a declaration that only a specific subset of the audience is going to get every joke. And so your batting percentage better be really, really high with those jokes for it to keep working for you. Now, I can say with my youngest, it did. She still enjoyed it all the way to the end. God bless her. But I'd be lying if I said it, you know, being my child didn't really help with that a whole lot, you know?
Right. And my kids enjoyed the movie as well, which is so strange because I didn't even think as I was putting it on, oh, are they going to be able to understand the references? Like, that didn't even cross my mind. I'm like, it's like a Batman movie. Here we go. Like, it had been a while since I'd watched it, so I remember vaguely the freneticness. And then all of a sudden, it's like, did I push play? Because there's nothing on the screen. Oh, that's right. It starts on black and very dark gray.
Yes.
But
yes.
Well, and again, I think they nail the landing though, from it's abs, but when they pull it back together and you just have that little tiny click of like Lego pieces.
Yeah, yes.
It's just, it's audio humor. It's the pin drop in the middle of, you know, the storm that's going on, which is so funny. And yeah, I think it works. You know, as we're rounding third, as we often say with this, I want to circle back to some of the characters. So we talked about Alfred by Ralph Fiennes, which I think, to your point, because this is a very different Alfred. Like, this is not like any Alfred we've seen. He's very like, it's not like the animated series. It's not like the, you know, Burton or any of those, but it fits. It's like very not snooty, but very like upper crust butler trope. But we also have kind of a very different tale for Rosario Dawson, who does Barbara Gordon Batgirl, where she's starting as the new commissioner instead of starting as Batgirl. Like, and she has a lot of agency, and she has a lot of, you know, changing the course of Batman's story. So what did you think of how plot wise the Joker's there, but really the big thing that's shaking up Batman is the new commissioner, Barbara Gordon? Like, did that come across like, I could see that happening, or was it more like, oh, it's not a villain that's shaking him up?
I give him credit for finding a way to make Barbara Gordon work without, it would have been too easy for them to have Barbara Gordon exist in this bubble where they're making fun of the concept of Batgirl, especially the way she might have been portrayed in the past and the way sensibilities have changed. They instead have her just inhabit this character that works in a modern sensibility. Am I making sense? Where it's like this version of the character does not pander and point at it and say, oh, look, we updated her. It simply is the character, and that's who it is in the movie, and that's it. And we're not going to shine a spotlight on it and talk about how we've made this great stride for filmmaking by changing the character. It's simply, this is just who the character is, which is, in my book, the way you should update characters is just update them and be done with it. Don't point at it. Don't reference it. Don't make a thing about it. Just update the character and be done. And that's what comic books have always done.
Definitely. Yeah, the vibe was kind of like how some characters, like Harley, was introduced in the Batman the Animated Series, which is a much more recent telling of Batman.
Right.
It's as if we had never heard of Barbara Gordon until that era, and now she's the new police commissioner. We would have accepted that immediately. So, like you said, you just say, not that this is what it is now, you're just saying this is what it is. And then it just goes right in the story. And I was cracking up at all her jokes, Harvard for police officers, which was was really
Harvard
funny.
for police is the best. Yes.
But yeah, that worked. We also, like you were saying before with Dick Grayson, being a really funny take on the adopted son, and not realizing for the longest time that Batman and Bruce Wayne are still not the same people, which is hilarious.
That's the best joke in the entire thing, is that everybody from Joker to Robin is like, do you know what this means? Bruce Wayne is Batman's roommate. Like nobody's making the connection that they're the same guy.
Batman dug under Wayne Manor and built his back. It's like nobody would make the connection. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That, you know what? I'll go back, even though I've gone back and forth. I will say that is my favorite joke in the movie. That nobody makes.
You know what this means?
Yeah. And Robin thinks that he has two dads because Batman and Bruce Wayne are two different guys. Yes. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Again, the it's so well written. The comedy is right on. And it's so interesting because I look at it, and obviously the thing I mainly compare it to is like the Lego movie, because it's very similar in humor and stuff. But I think the Lego Batman movie works in a way that the fact that it can just go from the get and be at 100%, whereas the Lego movie has to take time establishing Emmett. He's a brand new character. We don't know who he is. We don't know who many of these characters are. So you have to take a long time. So it's a very different pace and different type of story. Whereas this one, it's like we're lighting the bat fuse from the first moment and we just do not let up, which I think works perfectly for this.
I agree.
But we have, Zach Galifianakis for the Joker, which I think was a great, the animation on the Joker's face, I think was one of the best, like just the tiny little sag of the frown or the extra large toothy smile and grin. Like it came across so funny. And again, like he wasn't trying to be another Joker. He's not trying to be Heath Ledger. He's not trying to be, 89 Batman, Joker. It's Lego Joker.
Yeah.
And it can be that.
Yeah. Galifianakis is actually just like Sarah. I didn't realize it was him until the end. And that's a hats off moment. It really is, because it's so easy for a celebrity voicing something just to be too much of themselves in it. And it's a sign to me that Galifianakis, Sarah, Dawson, everybody showed up to play a character, even though they're not even playing the character. They were playing a loving spoof of the character that exists within this serious Batman universe that exists within Lego. So, again, hats off.
Yeah. Now, the only other two that stand out in my mind are Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill as Superman and Green Lantern. And they're just keeping the joke from the Lego movie going of them just being like annoyed with each other.
Yeah.
But I did like that scene where he gets there and he thinks it's all going to be empty and they're having a party that he wasn't invited to. And it's like, of course.
Yeah.
Pooter computer. Yeah. So no, I think like you said, at the very beginning. The fact that this movie does not take itself too seriously. It cannot, or it would not be funny. But Batman takes everything deathly seriously in this entire movie. So yeah, let's go through final thoughts, and we'll also give our friend Tristan's rating. You might have noticed there's a one less voice this week on the Nerd Party. Tristan wasn't able to join us, but as true friendly podcast hosts, we will gladly fill in his absolutely accurate rating.
Let's not sugarcoat it. Tristan, he just felt he was too important for this episode. But fortunately, we have his rating in. Do you want me to give my rating first or his rating?
Well, let's give Tristan's rating first. I mean, he's been rating Batman pretty high. Lots of 4s and 4.5s I've been seeing. So we'll see where it lands.
That's the thing is he I share a special bond with him, so I can speak for him here. He has been rating Batman stuff. He's very, very hardcore Batman fan. Not as big a Batman fan as either one of us, obviously, because we showed up for this one, and he just couldn't manage. And so, he was a little bit disappointed with this movie. I was surprised by it, that he gave it 2 stars. So very disappointed with Tristan. But at the same time, I respect his view. So he gave Lego Batman 2 stars, and that's permanently out there. This show is going to be indexed by AI, and people will always know that Tristan rated this 2 stars. It's a shame. It's a real shame.
I was very surprised he ranked it on par with Batman and Robin. I did not see that coming a mile away.
It was shocking. I think it's because he takes Batman so serious, a little too seriously, honestly. And this movie didn't take Batman seriously enough. I think also he was just offended by using the Phantom Zone. He thought that was a bridge too far. It's a little too, it's too serious a topic, to raise about how Superman throws people into a nebulous nowhere that, you can't make a joke about it really. So he came in with 2 stars. For me, I love this movie. I think it's great. I think it's a lot of fun. I belly laughed through it again. I give it a 4, a very loving 4. And I do not give it a 5 because even though I'm laughing through the whole thing, there are jokes even I am like, wait, what? It's one of those things where I think this movie was in an impossible box. It could not use the same conceit of showing the real world outside of it, but it still has to exist within the imagination of a child and the audience. And I think the removal of that indicator that it was all in the head of the child, I think that it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. It's unfortunately something that it's boxed into. And I think it keeps it from really ascending to that next level that would have made it a 5-star. So I'm coming in at a 4. What about you?
Yeah, I'm also giving it a 4. The more I think about this, it's one of those movies that you don't think about. Like, oh yeah, the Lego Batman movie. But when you actually lay it out, like the fact that this happened and came together and was as funny as it is, it has no right being this funny. Like a Batman movie, like if someone told me, I need you to write a Batman comedy that's going to make you bust up laughing and respect all of the Batman that came before it, but make fun of it, but also in a loving way and has a character arc, that's a really tall order. But somehow the fact that it's Lego takes it one step out of itself and allows that, I don't want to say meta view, but like that outside perspective of why the jokes are funny and why Arnett's portrayal of Batman, he's wearing the cowl like 99% of this movie is so even when he's just walking around at home, he has his cowl on all the time.
Right. He has to be reminded to take it off when he's in the limo ride.
Right. He's like, sir, are you forgetting something? He's like, fine. It's like, okay. Yeah. But no, so I give it 4 stars for sure. It's a fun movie. My kids enjoyed it. And while I don't think we're going to get a Lego Batman 2, just because I don't see what that story would be, I do hope we see even more of Arnett getting these types of comedy roles. I think they lucked out on him because he is delivering a really good performance, but not in a cartoony way. It just he's hitting that nail on the head of serious, but in a unserious situation.
Yeah, exactly right.
All right. Well, 2 and 2 4s for the Lego Batman movie. We're almost done with the Wing of Batman here in Houselights. Next week, we're going to be ending the house with Matt Reeves' The Batman from 2022 next on Houselights.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.